in there. My apologies for the initial beginning of this live stream. I don't know what it is with YouTube, but they have some issues when they're doing this live stream stuff. What I really need to do is get like an actual rig for my stuff. Like just do this stuff at home. Go full DJ Academics, Hassan Abi, and just do this at home. But I've just been chilling. Hey, what's up? Thank you for coming back. Thank you for coming back. Hold on. I'm gonna lift this up. There we go. I'm literally at a beer garden right now in public. There are people watching me, but I'm here to hang. Thank you for coming. We have a lot to talk about today. I'm gonna wait for some people to kind of file in because I just started. We've only been going for 1 minute. 1 minute. We got a lot to talk about, especially with our MMA fans and our live streaming fans. Can anyone hear me too? If you can hear me, put a 1 in the chat because this is a brand new microphone. I want to make sure that I can be heard, that it's crisp. If you guys are hearing like a bunch of crowds and stuff, I don't want to continue with the video. They do think I'm crazy. They do, but I don't care. Okay, perfect. All right, the audio's solid then. Yeah, dude, they do think I'm crazy, but it doesn't matter at this point. The world is both social and parasocial at the same exact time, so I feel like people just get used to it after a while. Also, fuck it. I'm trying to reach the next level of this shit and actually accomplish things in my life. So, hey, I got a shout out from DJ Academics. I got to do lives. I don't care who looks at me and judges me for it. We're out here. Yeah, man. Happy to be out though. It's a beautiful day in Astoria, Queens, New York City. Where are you from, Willie? Tell me a little bit about you. So we got a lot to talk about today. I think I'm going to go for like an hour. I haven't done my live stream in quite a while. Usually we get pretty good crowds for the lives and stuff. It's been a minute. What are we talking about? This is going to be a vibe, yo. This is a vibe. There's a reason why I got my little Rataburger here. Kansas City, all right. Hell yeah. One of my boys, Dwayne, is from Kansas City. I've never been, but shout out to the Royals. Never really went to the Midwest. Just came back from Kentucky, though, doing a bunch of shows out there, doing a bunch of stand-up. I'm actually going to be hitting the road again, which is why I'm trying to do more of these lives. I'm going to be doing a Europe and Asia tour for 2 months. I'm going to be in a different country every week for 2 months, bro. So strap in. I don't know if you've subscribed yet, but subscribe now because you're going to see me all over the place. I'm going to London. I'm going to Spain. I'm going to Berlin in Germany. I'm going to Prague, Czech Republic. I'm going to Thailand. I'm going all over the place, dude. So, if you like the travel stuff, let me know, because I'm still feeling out what this channel is. Obviously, this channel is more of like a hip-hop channel and stuff and all that. And, hey, good looks, man. Thank you for subbing. But obviously then this is more of a hip-hop channel. It's always kind of been that. A little bit of pop culture there, a little bit of politics in there. But I'm trying to figure out a way to put in the travel because that's something I'm really passionate about. And people fucking love that stuff, man. They really love that stuff. And shout out to you for subbing too, man. I appreciate that. But let's just get into it. Quinton Rampage Jackson. Some of you guys may know him. Some of you may not know him. But he was one of the bigger UFC fighters in the early to mid 2000s. If you were into UFC from 2004 to 2010, that's when he was his biggest. It was in the Chuck Liddell, Tito Ortiz kind of phase, back when Joe Rogan had his podcast, but he wasn't ruling the world yet. What sweet times those were, right? What beautiful times that was. Who would have thought that Joe Rogan would have ended up being who he is today just from that? I always, listen, when the podcast came out, I knew it was going to be a big thing. whoever's at the bottom floor of some brand new shit is always going to prosper. You know, you had your Mark Maron, so he was the king back then. You had Mark Maron, you had Joe Rogan, you had Bill Burr. That, for me, I felt like was kind of the trifecta. Like Opie and Anthony was kind of fizzling out. They were old radio. This is kind of new radio. They were doing their thing. And then all of a sudden, the world just got really, really racist. He just seemed to be catapulted, you know, into the stratosphere. You know, all from UFC. All from UFC. You know, I think that's why the world is so douchey right now. And so many men are so annoying right now is because they're seeing an annoying man, and a lot of annoying men get rewarded for their annoyingness. So they're just sitting there and they're all absorbing it, and they're 13 years old, and they're like, well, if this works for them, it has to work for me. That being said, you know, some weird stuff goes on in the Joe Rogan. It does. Trust me, I've actually heard some weird stuff, rumors, so I'm not going to share it on the live stream. But when I get famous enough, trust me when I say I'm going to be definitely, you know, having some like documentaries on my YouTube channel about things that I've heard with the whole Joe Rogan cruise of people and stuff that they've done, they've made people do, and all sorts of shit. So trust me, there's definitely some weirdness going down in Austin. Believe me. And I ain't just talking about that weird serial killer either, which there is one. Look it up. But back to the topic. I'm out here. You know, this is my problem when I'm alone. I'm out drinking. Is back to the topic. Quinton Rampage Jackson. You guys may or may not have heard. Quinton Rampage Jackson. He has a son named Raja Jackson, who is, you know, basically, you know, trying to be just like his dad. You know, he's a professional fighter and everything, at least semi-pro. And he's a live streamer as well, too. Apparently he was a guest on somebody's live stream or something. I'm not sure what the whole entire thing was, but he was at a small-time wrestling event in LA, and apparently he was disrespected earlier in the live stream by the wrestler that he put in the hospital. In some way, the dude thought he was doing some like gag. Like if you watch wrestling at all, which I haven't in years, I love it, but I just haven't in a long time. You know that they do the behind the scenes stuff. They do, you know, the wrestlers walking through the halls and, you know, they bump shoulders with each other or they, you know, they press each other. Well, this is essentially what happened. And before then, Raja wasn't involved in the wrestling production. He was just somebody who was there being part of a live stream. And basically this guy, his name is Psycho Steve. Great name. Honestly, I feel like with a name like Psycho Steve, after this, you got to change your name. You know, because that's like a scary name. You can't have, after you got straight power bombed and then got mollywopped, you got like this straight Tekken perfect score beatdown. I don't know if you can call yourself Psycho Steve anymore, bro. It's Steven now. You got to pronounce the full name. It's Steven now with a PH too, no V. But this dude apparently was messing with him, and you know, poured beer on him, almost like Stone Cold Steve Austin style. But he was in his character. It wasn't like you know, Steven the guy like running up on him. He was in his character. I don't know if I'd fight him hearing his name. Yeah, exactly. Psycho Steve. If somebody told you somebody's name is Psycho Steve, you'd be like, I'm not fighting this guy. But when your father's name is Rampage, I think all other scary names just go out the fucking window. You know, like I remember Quinton Rampage Jackson. He used to have like a mouth guard that had like fangs in it and shit. He used to do all sorts of crazy shit like that. So, you know, a guy like that, when that's your dad, when that's the dude disciplining you when you're like 10 years old, some guy named Psycho, you're like, yeah, whatever. In fact, some guy named Psycho, you're like, I'm going to beat the crap out of him later. That's basically what happened. So this Psycho disrespects him, whatever. And, you know, I guess the people at the wrestling event pulled Psycho to the side and was like, bro, he's just a live streamer, like, whatever, like, you know, don't start nothing. Like, you always think, it was one of those, like, you ever have your boy where, like, your boy just gets too rowdy sometimes, and you got to pull him to the side and be like, bro, what is wrong with you? That's essentially what happened with Psycho Steve. Okay? They had to pull him aside and be like, bro, what is going on with you? Why are you like this? And basically, Psycho had to apologize. He apologized to Raja and everything, told him, hey, my bad, it was just part of the thing. But as a way of making it up to him, they were basically saying like, oh, now you can be part of the wrestling program. Like, now you can be part of the show, which is cool. But apparently with Raja, he was not feeling it. Like, he was down to be in it, but he doesn't, I feel like he didn't know what wrestling was or something, because it just, during the live stream, you can watch some of the footage of his live stream. I believe they banned him from Kick now. He's completely gone from Kick, but you might be able to find some of his live stream footage, which was just nuts. But before he even did that, he was talking all this shit, being like, yo, I'm gonna fuck him up, I'm gonna beat the shit out of him, oh, I'm gonna get my get back, da 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 da. And dude, basically he just went right in. He got his cue to go into the ring, went into the ring, slammed the dude. And first off, when he slammed the dude, he slammed him way too hard, and they obviously were not prepared for it at all, because the dude was unconscious immediately from the moment he hit the mat. And then Raja just proceeds to just bash him over and over and over, at least 20 times while he's not moving. Like, I repeat, at least 20 times while this man is not moving. Intense stuff to watch. This is why I wish I had my rig with the whole computer and everything, because I would be playing back some of this footage for you guys to watch, because it was truly insane. It was truly insane to watch, man. Brutal, dude. And I say that to say this: don't mess with people who don't know the rules of rough sports and shit, you know. And I say that because I used to do rugby, right? I used to be a rugby player in high school and everything, right? And rugby is one of those things, almost like wrestling, where if somebody isn't informed about it and doesn't know how it goes, they can really end up hurting someone or hurting themselves. You know, in rugby all the time, especially because rugby is more of a European sport. You know, I feel like in Australia they do that a lot too, like New Zealand they do it, but it's not really that popular here. You know, people think that rugby is just football with boxing mixed into it or something, and it's not. And these people would fight dirty all the time, and we used to get in these crazy fist fights. I'm telling you, I remember I played rugby one time. I was a junior in high school in New Jersey, and we were playing Parsippany, which is another town, whatever. And bro, they just started fighting dirty for so long that we just gave up on the game. We just started fighting. And literally, I'm punching somebody, somebody's punching me, right? I deck the dude, he drops, and then I get up, right? Because we were rolling around for a minute. So I get up, I look around, and the whole game is just fist fighting each other. Just dudes just punching the shit out of each other, suplexing each other, all sorts of shit. And it was just what is going on right now? And that's what led me to be yeah, if people don't know how to play a certain game, just don't even bother playing it. You know, because this whole thing could have been avoided the whole time. Even not just for the guy Psycho Steve, who now has to change his name to Calm Militant Steven. Yeah. Now it's called 3-year-olds football? No, fuck you, all right? Rugby is actually a very intelligent sport. Football is a lot more intelligent than people give it credit for, but rugby in itself is a very, very technical and very intelligent sport. You know, it's a mix. It's basically a mixture of soccer and American football, and it's beautiful. You should play it. What, you're not? Oh, are you saying they're 3-year-olds? Maybe, yes, I guess so. You know, a lot of people just don't know how to interact, and then when they get the authority to be violent, you know, then they just do anything, and it's crazy. This Quinton Rampage Jackson's son could have been spending the rest of his life in prison because of how stupidly he acted, just because he doesn't know that wrestling is fake. Think about that. Actually think about that. Yes, rugby is basically just a fight for a ball. It is just a fight for a ball, and it's crazy, but it's a good time. I mean, it's one of those things that I always wanted to try, and I was just glad that I did it. And wrestling was always one of those things that I wanted to try, so I'm glad that I did that too. And that's why I'm kind of, like, kind of surprised at Quinton Rampage Jackson, because I'm like, you got the chance that I always wanted, and you still messed it up. Like, how do you not know wrestling is fake? Like, let's be real. Like, chat, like, tell me, like, has anyone ever thought that wrestling was real? Like, especially when you get older. Did you ever think wrestling was real? Like, come on. Like, this man is like 26 years old. He's not like a 10-year-old kid, you know? It was absolute insanity. I've really never seen anything like it. Exactly, no, I never. You know, it's not until like, I believed it was real until I was like 10 years old. You know, because my uncle ruined it for me. You know, but this guy, it's the stupidest thing I've ever seen in my life. Unbelievable. Yeah, it's definitely fake. It's the most obviously fake thing. They don't even, like, what surprised me about him doing it was that they don't even, like, when they punch each other, they don't even really punch each other. So it's like, when he's watching the whole thing, I'm wondering, like, because there had to be other matches before this, right? This wasn't the start of the whole event, right? So, like, when he's watching them punch each other, when he's watching them powerbomb each other, when he's watching them choke slam each other, right? Like, does he think, like, none of this stuff is coordinated? Or was he just so, like, salty about the previous transgression that went on with the dude Psycho Steve, and how the dude, like, splashed the beer on him, that he was just like, now I'm getting authority to, like, beat your ass, so I'm just gonna beat your ass. And it's wrestling, so, like, no one's really gonna say anything about me beating your ass. You know? Like, because there's no way you didn't realize that it was fake. There's no way you didn't realize it was fake. Especially, like, exactly, like, when I was 5 years old, I knew that shit was fake. Like, what are you talking about? This shit is crazy, man. But that's what I started this live stream to say this live streaming community, man. I don't know what it is about it, but it's toxic as hell, and it's gross and it's weird. Like, I feel like I'm always hearing something strange about live streamers, or like something going on that happened during live streams. You know, it's not just the whole Quinton Rampage Jackson thing. It was also this dude Destiny. I don't know if you guys know who Destiny is. I feel like everybody does except for me, because I'm over 30, and he's about my age. But, like, he's somebody who's a pretty popular streamer, very popular streamer, liberal streamer, kind of in the whole Hassan Abi kind of realm that a lot of people are kind of in now. You know, yeah, he's a streamer. His name's Destiny, and the guy, basically, like, you know, I always thought he was just like some liberal guy who do stuff on, like, Jubilee, whatever. But, like, he really apparently just got, like, outed for PDF allegations. Yeah, essentially. And it's all civil court stuff right now. But I believe actually one of his cronies, you know, because these guys, they get so big, they have like 1 million different smaller channels that are like kind of like their posse, their internet, you know, parasocial posse. But one of his, like, cronies essentially jumped ship and reported him to the police, which I don't know how far this stuff is going to go, because obviously it's already being dealt with in the civil case. So I feel like if it was already in the civil and stuff, like, how is it going to be translated over to the actual police? Like, you know, if the person dealing with it only wants money, then I guess it's just a money thing. I don't know law, but I just find this to be an incredibly scary thing. I mean, you know, we're already dealing with the whole, only talk about politics and stuff like that. You only hate people who talk about politics and stuff like that. I get that. I try to mix it up in here, and, you know, people let me know if I ever am, like, too overbearing with my politics, but I think it's generally, like, something that, like, people need to genuinely speak about, especially nowadays, because stuff has gotten so crazy. Like 10 years ago, if I was live streaming, number one, I'd be a millionaire by now if I was live streaming 10 years ago. But if I was live streaming 10 years ago, I wouldn't care. But now that you have the military goose-stepping down the streets of DC, the president now said he's going to be deploying more military to more cities. They're literally kidnapping people and putting them into camps, where, overseas or even domestically. It's just, you almost can't stop talking about it. Like, I don't even care about politics, but now it's not politics anymore. It's just literal real life. It's just stepping outside, and it's a shame. But the dude, Destiny, he's someone who, like, he was always really great as far as, like, kind of owning people, on the liberal side. Like, he would always, put down conservatives and this, that, and the third. And it just sucks to lose somebody like that to something so disgusting, because it's indefensible what he's accused of doing, and what is pretty much verified. I mean, dude, like, it's intense. He's very sloppy about what he was doing on top of that, which I guess is a good thing because he gets caught. But it was really awful. I mean, he's number one, what he's in trouble for is revenge porn, because not only was he talking to this girl, but he was sending the footage and stuff out to different people and different girls that he was trying to get with to, like, turn them on. And then on top of that, it was later found out that the girl was underage. And then people started going through a lot of his past footage of different things, and he just was really, like, explicitly kind of saying all sorts of, like, awful things, talking very explicitly about girls who are underage. I don't want to get too crazy on the live because I don't want things to get taken down. I wish I could say a little bit more of what he was saying, but he was very open about this stuff on some of his streams. Even in some of his clips, he would advocate to lower the age of consent, which was just insane. And it's shocking to see. It is shocking that people think this way. That's what I'm saying. I'm like, dude, like, listen, if you're a guy in his 30s, 40s, whatever age, right, and you like women who are younger, it's not the best, right? People aren't going to love that. But if she's 18, you can't really say anything. Like, people can talk their shit, but what's legal is legal, and that's it, right? But, like, doing this is, it's crazy. It's a truly indefensible thing, and it's really disgusting. It's like there's women from 18 to, like, they're like deathbed. Like, you can be with any woman from, like, 18 years old to, like, decrepitly old. And you're choosing to be with someone who's 17, 16. Like, guys, get it together, man. Get it together. Especially if you're an older guy who's like 34, 35, 36, if you're like 20 and there's someone who's like, just about to turn 18, but she's not, that makes kind of more sense. I get it. Because I grew up in that era where it's like, like you would, like when I was in high school, you would still hang out with people who you grew up with, who were like a couple years older. And if they went out with some girl that you were in the same grade with or something, it was a little skeevy, but you knew these people because you grew up with them, so it wasn't the same thing. This is like incredibly predatory, especially since, these are girls that he's been dealing with, in his live streams. Dude, like legitimately in his live streams, they look up to him and stuff. I mean, he's been doing this live stream stuff for years and years and years. I believe it's been over a decade, and I believe over a decade and a half. So there's a chance that this girl, if her parents had it on or something, could have really grown up watching this guy. And for him to prey upon that is utterly disgusting. It's utterly disgusting. And as like a leftist myself, it's just a really disheartening thing to watch, And that's the thing, man. Creeper shit is bipartisan. That's the worst part. because it's like the conservatives wish it was all of us, and all of us wish it was all the conservatives. But it's not. It's both sides. There's Bible thumping, homophobic, hateful, hate speech guys who like him young. And then there's also dudes who are like on the right side of history, except for this. Creepers gon' creep. Creepers gon' creep, man. It's really bad. This Destiny dude, I don't know what's gonna come out of this. You know, it's weird to be in this time that we're in right now, where like so many people rise and fall, and it's really tough, I think, for everybody, but it's also especially tough with these, you know, young guys. I think young men, you know, if there's any of you watching this, you really need to beware what is going on, right? You really need to sit there and think about what you are putting into your brain and what these other people are trying to put onto you, you know, because you deserve better. I mean, don't get me wrong, it was similar for us too. You know, we had all sorts of different shows and things like that that may not have been the best, American Pie and, you know, all that type of stuff. But, you know, they're put on in time blocks. They aired, right? So it was 30 minutes. Yeah, you have to be productive, man. You have to be productive. You know, we used to, like, when you were watching something like The Man Show, when I was a kid, sneaking there, right, before internet porn was big, so you're like, girls on trampolines, I'm sold, my mom's asleep, turn this down, you know what I mean? I was born in the wavy Spice Channel era, okay? Right? But you would watch that stuff, and it wasn't good for you to necessarily watch it, right? But it was only a half an hour. Nowadays, you can channel into these men and toxic women, you know, just, you know, all day, every day. They're on for hours and hours. And they can really get you. And I feel myself falling into it all the time as well, too. Because I go from watching, you know, Sam Cedar to Hassan Abi, you know, to Bill Burr, to Shane Gillis, you know what I mean, to Godfrey, you know, and I'm a 33-year-old man, you know, who I would like to think knows right from wrong and who has life experience. But if you're a fucking kid, it's like you were born in this algorithm. You're like Bane. I was born in it. You know, I don't know how you survive. And it's really unethical, man. And I do hope that as millennials and Gen Z get older and are able to consolidate political power, as these older boomers die off, that we will start actually putting some sort of you know, government implemented censorship into social media that children can watch. You know, not just a little button of "Are you 18?" You know, children should not be able to watch Andrew Tate. You know, children should not be able to watch someone like Destiny talk to them about how the age of consent should be lowered. You know, children should not be able to watch Fresh and Fit. As a grown man, I should be able to, because I'm over 18. But like a 10-year-old kid should not. And, you know, because they lack the critical thinking. Even people my age lack critical thinking. But when you're a 10-year-old, you're moldable. You can just, your brain can be set in so many different dangerous ways. And I just think there's just no reason for it. And, you know, you see what they're doing in Australia with, you know, they banned social media for people under the age of 16. And I think that's brilliant. And I think eventually that is what is going to happen. And I see that I lost a good amount of followers in the chat from me saying the censorship shit. I don't care. I do not care. You know, I really think that there needs to be something done about what underage people can consume on the internet. Social media should be illegal for people under the age of 18. That is just the truth. You know, you know, and it's not even just about, you know, the sexually explicit stuff or anything like that. It's also just the constant switching of things. that has a bad effect on their attention span as well too. Plus, not just giving predators access to them, but children having too much access to each other. The cyberbullying thing. Obviously, I grew up in the area where people heard about cyberbullying and they were like, bro, just turn off the computer. But now everyone lives on this stuff and it makes it harder, man. It makes it harder. I don't know if I could be a kid in today's day and age. Could any of you guys be kids in today's day and age? Because I'm not sure. I'm honestly not sure. Rant over. That's not true, but I got to take a sip. Could you do it? Could you actually be a child in today's day and age? Like, dude, I did not realize, and I always thought of my childhood as like, I won't say traumatic, but not the best. I grew up in suburban New Jersey. People were kind of racist to me, and then you have all the adolescence, childhood stuff that just happens to everybody, no matter whether your life is good or bad, right? But that stuff is tough. I can only imagine how it is now, where it's like kids don't even party with each other. They don't really hang out with each other very much unless they're in front of a screen, and it just seems impossible. Like, I used to be so insecure, and like this is why I'm against, this is why I don't think that young boys especially should be able to watch this stuff. Young girls too, but young boys especially, is because I remember how insecure and sad I was as a young teenager. When I was 15, I was terrified of girls, utterly terrified. I was super insecure, and just the thought that someone that I liked that much could shoot me down just decimated me, just the thought of it, right? And eventually I got older and I met some great women in my life who were not just partners but friends as well too, platonic, female friends and everything. And you learn and you get to realize that they're just people, but if you're stuck in this parasocial world where you're not interacting with any women or even other men for that matter, and you have these people just treating women like commodities and numbers, and it's all about body counts and high value. I can imagine your brain breaking. I could not imagine watching something like that when I was a kid. I mean, shoot, as a millennial, I even got caught up in the old pickup artist, stuff. As some of you guys may know, I don't know how old some of you guys are, but the whole the pickup artists, there's a bunch of methods and stuff. I don't know what they're doing in the back. But there used to be a series of books that came out in the late 2000s by pickup artist guys telling dudes, nerds basically, guys like me, how to pick up girls. And that was already kind of lame and annoying, but at least that got you outside. And at least you spoke to women. And from that would at least push you out there and you could ditch the pickup artist stuff, or eventually, that's your identity and you're just some weird guy, who negs women or something fucking lame, right? But you're still interacting with women. This, you're not even interacting with them. So it needs to stop. And then on top of that, let's talk about these Instagram models and how they're basically grooming young girls to sell their bodies, sex work is work, and I don't necessarily look down upon it or think it's disgusting or anything, but I don't think it should be pushed for a lot of young women as their first option to jump into, and there's something insidious about that. People always want to talk about, men grooming young girls, but I feel like a lot of women groom young girls as well too. And when you deal with that, you get people like Destiny preying on them, sitting there, waiting for them to send him some sort of innocuous message so that he can pounce and act like, well, she tried to talk to me. What am I going to do? Oh, she didn't confirm her age. What am I going to do? Something needs to be done, man. It's truly terrible. It's truly terrible. Also, too, I want to thank you guys for watching my Meijer's grocery video. about the kid James who got fired from Meijer Grocery for stealing a fruit cup, because that video is going pretty well. I'm getting some pretty good responses. Let me know in the chat. Do you guys want me to do more like body cam footage kind of reaction videos? Because I'm kind of into those. They're cool. It fits what I do anyway. More like hip hop and political shit. So I'd be down for that, because that shit was crazy, man. That shit was really crazy, dude. Like, you know, I don't know if you guys know the story, but yeah, this kid, he was, you know, turns out I thought he was 16. Turns out he was 19 at the time, but he worked at Meijer Grocery somewhere, I believe, in the Midwest or down south. You know, he's an autistic kid. He would walk to and from work every day, get to work on time, and basically, like, you know, with work, he would, you know, when they had certain supplies and stuff that wouldn't go bad, but they would just pass the date, they'd put them in a bin, like a sell-by bin, buy-by bin. We all know that, a use-by bin. If you've ever worked in catering, you can take stuff home. You ever worked in grocery shit, you can take stuff home. That's all that was happening, and this kid was just taking food out of that and taking it home. And, you know, apparently at Meijer, that's against policy, but they didn't tell him it was against policy, and they didn't help him to figure out why this mentally disabled kid might need to take food. Instead, they built a case around him, and his manager literally called the police and got him arrested at work. I'm not kidding you. His boss called the police and got him arrested, you know, at work. And what's crazy is this kid, guess how much he racked up in stolen items? Guess how much he racked up? I'll take a second. Throw something out there. It's unbelievable. You won't believe it. Throw any number out there. Swear to God. $110 over 3 months. That's how much he racked up in stolen items. $110. And keep in mind that these stolen items were going to be thrown in the trash, discarded. They were not regular items. Jesus Christ, bro. These dudes are throwing the kegs like they're working for Meijer Grocery, bro. $110, bro. That's literally all he accumulated in over 3 months of taking food. Insane. Oh shit, sorry. Insane. They arrested this dude. They walked him all the way out. Did you know? I believe it's not even a felony shoplifting until it gets to about $2,000, right? So they could have just let this slip. They could have told him something. Nothing. Fucking nerds, man. This is what I'm talking about. Where I was saying it to you about how, you know, the world is politics now, because it's like, you know, everywhere you look, you just see bootlickers galore. Bootlickers everywhere. You know, this manager that did this to this young man, James, this young disabled kid who walks to and from work, who is just trying to get a nice meal, you know, who, if we're being honest, is actually doing good because he's consuming the food and, you know, getting rid of food waste. Something tells me that this manager is the type of guy that would be in favor of the military being deployed in the streets of DC. You know what I mean? Something tells me this type of dude would be in favor of Trump not releasing the Epstein list. You know, he would be in favor of joining ICE and ICE getting bonuses. This is what I mean. It's all together. It's all a culture of like bootlicking and betrayal of the working class. And it's really disgusting. And you know, and that's what I'm saying. It's like I don't even want to be political in the sense of like, you know, Republicans and Democrats. Fuck all that. Forget that. You know, I'm a registered independent, whatever. But it's really like the working man. And when I say the working man or the working class, it's literally there is no middle class. And I don't mean there is no middle class in like the middle class is shrinking and the economy. No, I mean the middle class has always been an illusion. There are only two classes, right? There's the ruling class and there is the working class. And that is all that there is. And we have suffered as Americans through constant working class, anti-working class rhetoric forever. I mean, shit. Our insurance is tied to our employment. What are we doing? It's truly disgusting. Which is why when I see good streamers like Destiny, you know, putting shit down, making viral clips, just owning people, you know, it makes me want to care about this stuff a lot more. And then all of a sudden he gets outed for being a super duper creep. For hanging out at Chuck E. Cheese a little too long. And now I'm like, what are we even doing here? What are we even doing here? You know, it's just shameful, man. Creepiness and PDF activities are bipartisan, and it is a shame. It really is, dude. It really is. These streamers, there is something about, he is cooked. I agree, because it was something that, this came out like a couple months ago, the whole revenge porn thing started slowly coming out. And because it was a civil case, no one cared. But I think now the fact that his boy went and reported it to the police, I think he's more than just cooked. At first I thought it was his career. I think he could actually be in real legal trouble and could be in jail. You know, and good riddance. Good riddance to Destiny and to anybody who supports that guy and what he was doing. You know, I've always been one of those dudes that when it comes to sexually inappropriate activity or accusations about stuff, I wait a little bit and I let the chips fall where they may. But let me tell you, the chips have fallen. This guy put out so much of his own stuff. It is nuts. I've always been the, wait, we don't know the full story. Let's hear the full story. This is the full story. He's a creep. You know? And yes, yeah, Rampage's son is, Rampage is definitely ashamed about what his son's doing. There's just live streamers galore. I don't know what is going on with these guys. These live streamers just are lost. They'll do anything for clicks, and then once they get fame, they start getting weird and start getting a little creepy. You know? Speaking of live streamers as well, too, I mean, you know, I'm going to make a video about this as well. But on top of those two live streamers, I don't know if you guys heard about the live streamer that died in his sleep while on live stream. Feels like they brought Rampage into the live world anyways for relevance. Exactly, I agree. But that's the disease of live streaming, I believe, is it really feeds people's, you know, it feeds people's like, you know, need for attention and relevance all the time. You know, from Rampage to Destiny to this guy. There's a French live streamer who legitimately died. You know, I don't know if YouTube is going to take down my thing for saying that, but yes, he passed away while on live stream. And if you go into his live stream, he was partners with these other streamers as well too. They were doing like a marathon stream, and they would abuse him repeatedly, not just in this stream, but in plenty of others. And it was truly insane. It's happened on Kick, which, by the way, is why I believe Drake has stopped getting into streaming. Like he deactivated his account on Kick, and you know, he's not doing any more Aiden Ross streams. I believe Aiden Ross deleted his Kick stream as well too, with Drake in it, and this is because of that. Because Kick was behind this guy's untimely demise, essentially, and it's really nuts, man. People will do anything for streams, and I think it's about time that, you know, someone started to step in. And yes, I do mean legislation. I know everybody fears the government and they hate them, and I don't necessarily like the government either, but there needs to be actual laws put in place for this stuff. It is demonic. It's getting crazier and crazier, and it already was bad. We talked about Rampage now, but I mean, let's talk about Fuzi, or not Fuzi. Who's that guy? Johnny Somali, of course. But who's the Russian guy? Who's in the Philippines? You know what I'm talking about. Please give me his name. He's the Russian guy in the Philippines. Russia won't even take him back now. You know what I'm talking about. He was like real big, and he was acting like super high and mighty about getting arrested. Fuzi was a dick too, but this guy isn't Fuzi. Vitali, that's what I'm talking about. Exactly. Like, this has already been a problem from like years and years and years ago. I'd say like during 2020 when there was like the real boom of like IRL streamers and just parasocial internet relationships in general, when people would go to Japan and play like boom boxes on the train to disturb the people and piss off the local population, which is awful. I think that's really where the birth of it came. And then you had Johnny Somali doing what he's done, and he's still trapped in Korea right now. Then you had Vitali out in the Philippines, and now it's actually escalating into physical altercations. He was, and Vitali as well too. He was already abusive. That is actually true. I believe he did do that on a live stream. He had punched a woman. These guys, I think there's something in the psyche of people who live for being on live streams, right? And that's all they are, is just like a live streamer. It desensitizes you to what actual human reality is, right? Because you have to go bigger and bigger and bigger to get attention. And not to mention too, their biggest fan base is children, and these people want to go and get into drugs and all sorts of stuff as well too, because they're trying to ride highs. I mean, Vitali, like you just brilliantly point out, I believe was high on drugs when he attacked that woman jogging, and these guys, they get so deep into all this stuff, even Aiden Ross as well too, he's been somebody who, I don't think he's been in rehab, but he was definitely doing pills for a while. And this is what like 13-year-old kids are watching. And this is what I mean, where someone needs to step in and actually do something, man. Because like a 10-year-old kid watching some of this, like seldomly, is not great, but it's not that bad, right? That's the equivalent of like when I was a kid, staying up late and watching like South Park and The Man Show and Insomniac with Dave Attell, right? I shouldn't be watching some young woman pull up her shirt. I shouldn't be watching, Dave Attell go to some nightclub in Berlin and do all sorts of crazy stuff. I shouldn't be watching that, but it was only a half an hour. These people are doing this 24/7, and your kids are watching it 24/7, and they're ingesting every single bit of it, and it's being normalized. And I just feel like something needs to be done, man. I really think like something needs to be done. Because if not, every kid's going to turn into Lil Nas X. And if you didn't see what's happening with him, it's tragic, man. He's going full Martin Lawrence treatment. Where he's in the street screaming, yelling all sorts of stuff. That's what I'm saying. Okay, yeah, see? That's what I mean, the storm that chases. You're from my era then. I come from the wavy Spice Channel era. Where it's like if you were watching inappropriate activity, you had to work for it. And it was seldom. It wasn't around all the time. And that was good. Because a kid, and it made me cherish it too. And I almost feel like it informed my comedy. Like I do stand-up comedy. And like when I think about stand-up comedy or live streaming, I want to create the atmosphere that I felt when I was a kid of that I shouldn't watch it, but I should and everything, but like in a healthy way, and I kind of do want to give kids a little bit of that element as well too, but in a healthy and appropriate way. The internet really did ruin childhoods, and it made the Spice Channel what your kid is watching all day. It's not good, dude. It's not good. and I really hope actually that this might just be the growing pains of live streaming and the growing pains of the internet. Because the reason I got into live streaming is actually because I wanted to appeal to guys like you and to women who are my age watching this channel as well too, who are older people but are still into the art form and appeal of live streams. Because I think as time goes by, Gen Z is going to get older. The younger millennials are getting older as well too. And I think we are phasing out television. I think this is what it's going to be. And I think there's a huge gap for older young people who want to watch streaming that isn't Kaizenat, where it's not like, oh, chat, oh, you know, all that dumb bullshit. I think there's a room for people who want to be talked to maturely while a nice grown man has a sip of a drink and says what they think about the world, you know? And hopefully social media can mature to that point, you know, because if not, we are all fucked. But I think that's gonna be it. Okay, yeah, if you notice, all the ads are already out of control, so people will have to buy. It is, exactly. The ads are out of control. It is the new television. You know, that's just so funny. It's like podcasting became the new radio, and then live streaming is the new cable. Because, like, I have a theory that, truth be told, even when innovation comes into shit, we all still want the same exact thing, right? So, like, live streaming is here, and so is streaming, but at the same time, all we want to do is surf channels, you know? Like, streaming is huge, but I've always thought that Netflix would, like, do so well if they had, like, a surfing feature where, like, their movies and their television is already just playing continuously, and you can just surf through it, in addition to having the stuff that you can just pick and start from the beginning, you know? Because that's what I think the world wants to do. We want to have this internet access, but through kind of old means. Because I think when you get constant, anytime on-demand access, it kind of breaks your brain a little bit. We like being able to miss something and being able to rewind and all that. We don't want to always have everything at our disposal, you know? And sometimes we think we want everything at our disposal, but even then, it's like you truly would enjoy it more if it wasn't always so available to you, you know? Exactly. Kids don't know about that, like, that anticipation. Like, that's what I mean. It's like, you think you want it, like, and I noticed that with, like, The Pit and a bunch of shows on, like, Hulu, where they'll release stuff, like, once a week, right? Or they'll do, like, 3 episodes, you know, but it's weekly. Like, so they'll drop 3, then they'll drop another 3. And there's a part of me that's, like, annoyed, right? And I'm like, fuck, like, I want to watch all of it, right? But then it's like, there is something to the anticipation of it, man. And kids, especially, I feel like, kind of need that, man. They need a lack of instant gratification, or else they're just going to become spoiled weirdos. And I think that's happening, especially when you have dudes like Destiny fucking creeping on them all the time. But that's that being said, guys, I'm going to tap out. I'm going to finish enjoying my beer. It is attention deficit disorder, but I don't even think it's an honest mental disorder. I really think just technology is molding us. Not even in a medical way. I think it's just something that culturally is just how we are. But, you know, ridiculous enough. Anyway, guys, I'll see you later. You know, thank you so much for checking into the live stream. I got to finish these. Peace.